And then, yes, it was picked up by, various sections of the public, everybody, reading into it their own meanings. But we heard as well yesterday when the NCCE says that we're going to be going into a presidential dialogue and, of course, a debate for all parliamentarians. Okay, whose responsibility is it to be organizing these debates in our country? And indeed, who should be participating in it? Well, we have the Honorable George Lowe, who is the MP for North Dai, and Dr. Kobi Mensah, a political strategist and lecturer at University of Ghana Business School, and they are our guests. We'll be joined later on, though, by MP for Chobu, Honorable Moses Nim. Let me say a very big welcome to you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's good to have you here. Let's kick off with the whole idea behind the presidential debate. And you, Dr. Mensah, this is right up your alley because you study politics and political strategy. What is the essence of a presidential debate? What does the literature say? How useful is it?
Okay. Thank you, Kaf, for the question. And I'm honored to share the platform with Honorable. Thanks for having me here. All right, thank you. Well, first of all, in terms of political communication, I mean, when there is election, you have different formats of political communication, one of which, obviously, the staple, the traditional ones, had been the platforms that political parties mount, the campaign rallies that they mount. Obviously, one of them is also the manifesto, which political parties have to actually do a manifesto, circulate it. You have the media, i.e. the advertising, the posters, the door-to-door, knocking doors, talking to people. So various type of communication tools available for political parties to disseminate what their agenda is, or how they can actually execute those agenda. Now, in modern times, in modern democratic processes, presidential debate had emerged as one of the strongest platforms through which political parties and presidential candidates actually disseminate their information. And if you look at the trajectory from the US, that's where it's begun. I mean, majority of the presidential candidates have gone on to falter or perform as a result of the presidential debate. Recently, we had Obama and McCain, in 2008, where McCain seemed to have faltered by saying, this man, all right, and people thought it was disrespectful. It wasn't a good way of addressing your fellow candidate. And so therefore, it tested the temperament of these two guys. And that made huge influence. You cannot say that it was the dividing line, but you can say that it made a huge impact on who has good leadership, qualities or good leadership style. So presidential debate, in a sum, actually puts these candidates on their toes for us to measure their judgment level, whether they are very good at making decisions on the spot. And I think Hillary Clinton actually said it one time that when you're called at 2 a.m., what will be your response? You're supposed to make a Snapchat kind of decision immediately, instantly, that has the ability to make some changes in people's lives. Do you have that capability and the strength to make such a decision? That's one. Now, two is, again, engaging the voters. Remember, manifestos, campaign rallies and things is not everybody's beef. I mean, there are some people who may never have the opportunity to read a manifesto. They may not have the time to read a manifesto, but at a certain 2 hours, 3 hours, you would definitely know in some what a political party's agenda is, what is the most salient issue that they're actually propagating. Remember in 2012, free SHS became a trump card and became the headline of the election only after the presidential debate. Before then, it was all these parties said that they were talking about it, but it wasn't prominent. It is only after the debate that it became an issue, and then onwards, people actually wrote on it. So I think that the presidential debate affords the space for the citizenry to know at a certain exactly what the representation of these parties are, exactly what their temperament level and their judgmental level in terms of leadership qualities and behaviors and attitudes, I think.
So obviously from your submissions, it's a big deal out there. But over here, we seem to be downplaying it.
I think
what is the reason?
I think we're being dismissive that it doesn't add anything to it, but it does. Because it engages, the electorate. It actually fosters what we call the participatory democracy that we're looking at. Now, all these years we had, elections going on. None of the processes had actually captivated the nation other than the presidential debate. And then we can argue that it doesn't make an impact on the voters or on the share of votes. But I don't think that it's scientific enough, because we've got to actually check. The reason being that, look, people are not clear in their minds, when you mount, platforms like, rallies and things. A lot of things, I mean, they talk about a lot of things without having the substantive issues addressed, all right? So if we can have a process of really researching into, which, again, I take the responsibility because it falls in our domain, to really check the effect of presidential debate. And to check the effect, you have to have a particular methodology where the voter can recall the impact of that debate on their decision making. And if we can actually gauge that, we can see that there is an effect on it. I don't agree that it has no effect. And I don't agree that we must actually dismiss it.
I'm going to come to you in a bit. Just a quick one before I get to you. So what, in 2004, former President Kufuor didn't take part in the IA debate, but he won. He won the elections. Last elections as well, Dr. Abu Sakara was, said to have won the whole, debate thing. But did that translate into votes?
Yeah, but that is not to say that it is not because of the debate that is why he won, or because of the debate that is why he won. There are various, issues that actually contribute to someone's voter share. Perhaps if Abu Sakara hadn't actually participated, he could probably get a not. You may never know.
Maybe his
exactly.
participation moved
of course. That's correct. That's correct. So we cannot say.
That's still crucial.
Yeah, we cannot say that the debate doesn't add up to your voter share. I disagree. Now, until we empirically test, and with a very rigorous methodology, we cannot actually dismiss it. And for me, I think it's a very good process that engages both the voters and the politicians. That's the only time that we get the politicians to tell us something reasonable.
Honorable, what do you think?
Well, thank you. Let me take the opportunity to say good morning to our cherished viewers. And I think that generally, if you want to do an assessment, as Doc wants us to do, of the effect, of debates, political debates on the election in Ghana, I want to zero in on Ghana. Internationally, yes, we all understand. We've seen all kind of sides. I have been fascinated about Donald Trump and what he says, and the fallout, and yet all the things the feedback that comes with it in terms of his winning certain crucial states, in terms of his performance generally. It's something that I think we should all start looking at again. What has changed? Because it was consistent in the past to see that the person who is hailed as having done well translates into winning crucial states and things like that. This year, it seems to have been a bit complex, and I'm sure that Dr. himself and, of course, myself as a student of research would want to look at the dynamics and analyze. But coming back home, I think that nobody, it's in the sincerest levels, can say that maybe we should just wish away presidential debates. Presidential debate could be useful to the electoral process, and I choose my words carefully. You see, you make the point of Dr. Abu Sakara and President Kufuor. Yes, it's there. But, you see, if you analyze our political landscape properly, for me, I would say that we should do a segmentation. You see, if you do a presidential debate in Accra and Tamale and Takrady, yes, you are speaking to a certain category of the populace.
But it's going to be on TV, so you're speaking to the whole of
Ghana.
But
no, yeah. But you see, Kafui, when a presidential candidate is sitting on TV and he's talking about energy,
yes,
right? My auntie, my house in the village, will not grasp.
Why not? No. Why not?
Because, one, you are speaking in a language that she doesn't speak.
Lagata and all those guys also come in English.
Yeah, but they are translated. This one, they are not. You see, You see, let's...
No, but it will be analyzed and translated.
No, but you see,
so
Kafi,
I don't buy this argument, Mr. Lowe.
Kafi, if you follow the Lagates, if you follow some of the things that even our political discussions today, and you see how it is done in the local radio stations.
Yeah.
I was scandalized when some issue that came up and the way the radio presenter was presenting it in the local language.
Yes.
It was totally 360 degrees different from the issues that were being discussed. So you see, let's not put it in there. But I'm saying,
are we not downplaying the intelligence of those who may not speak academic English?
Kafi, not at all. You see, Kafi, that is where I think that there should be proper segmentation. Who should organize? And in every research and every elections, there is what we call targeting. You must target a certain country. So for me, if I want to participate in a debate, it is because I want to speak to a crucial constituency. And in this country,
which is Ghana.
Yeah, but you see, in this country, we are all afraid with the fact that there is always a 42%, 42% for all the.
Well, that cannot be a given. It can't be a given as if the sun will shine tomorrow.
No,
because otherwise we can't explain things like Donald Trump.
You
can't explain.
Kafi, if you just give me the chance. You see, I'm saying that to win any election as it stands now, there's a crucial who we call undecided voters and whatever tag we want to give them, who we know fall in a certain category. They, like Doc says, will sit down, look at the candidates, look at their posture, look at the content of what they are saying, and the approaches they intend to use and all that, and make a decision. Okay? But for me, that is what I do. I'm talking about segmentation. I'm happy, for instance, that NCCE says I'm doing parliamentary debates down at the lowest level, where in the constituency where the candidates competing are. The NCCE has a role for me to educate the unreached easily. It's a communication channel. But I think that we can also organize a presidential debate to speak to this crucial constituency that I'm talking about. It doesn't take anything away from it, but it's just an addition. Because, look, debates, right, sometimes just gauge the posture, the presentation skills and other of people. It doesn't necessarily translate into whatever it is supposed to be. It's easier for all of us to just. And I agree with him that when he talks about, okay, somebody may not want to read a party's manifesto, and I wonder how many people do read. But again, the debate doesn't even give us the opportunity to understand because of even the way they organize it. You ask a question, you try to answer 5 minutes, you are timed out. Really, I mean, it doesn't.
You have to manage your resources.
Yeah, but you have to manage your resources. But
But
you see, it's key because let me tell you something. It is key that sometimes the person should be able to tell you the full spectrum of what they want to do. Otherwise, if you cut in the middle, and it's not about talk. You see, politics is not a talk game.
Well, that's what it appears to be.
Yeah, but you see, if
can I make a point?
If you reduce it to a talk game.
But it is a talk game.
No.
Yes, it is.
No,
talk,
the person who can
you
deliver.
use talk to express ideas.
Yeah, but I'm saying
and
that.
you can only deliver when you've spoken to me and convinced me. So I don't agree.
There's a quiet deliverer and there's a loud person who doesn't deliver. They all exist in the political spectrum. The danger we have is that if you reduce it to a talk game, then the loudest talker is the best person.
But the point is, let me make a point.
Quickly.
Honorable, I politely disagree because what you're actually suggesting by extension is that society is just like those of us who watch TV and understand English. We live in a different planet from those who don't understand English, for example, those who are less than that. We know that communication, regardless of how form, is both ways. Now, you live with someone who is less than that in the language. Definitely you're going to actually have engagement. You're going to actually translate. How did free HSS become even the most dominant theme elsewhere in the country? I mean, the rural folks and things like that. It's because the conversations were going on. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't have a different Ghana for those who speak English and a different Ghana for those who don't. Definitely there's some kind of engagement going on. Then I'll give you another example. we're now in what we call omni, omni kind of communication, society, where we talk about an integrated form of communication. Look, you have your TVs, your radios, your internet, everything meshed up together. So the conversations that goes on, even the Twitter, finds its way in the press, finds its way on news. Today you're just reviewing newspapers. In the past it wasn't like that, was it? So the point is that we are actually compartmentalizing communication, which is not. It's a whole kind of, one bundle where when a conversation takes place at a particular place, it gets interpreted, it gets actually featured in other.
And your argument is everything comes together to give you that message.
I have a problem for us to say that it's only segmented for people who perhaps are the only the floating voters, the undecided. Let me tell you something. The supporters of your party would get something to stand on if they have to go and prospect for voters, because whatever the candidates say on TV and then say, oh, what is the evidence? Have you forgotten? My candidate actually said A and B on news during the debate, all right? Now, these supporters may not have even one single message if you don't do that, because they don't read the manifesto. Nobody even get access to the manifesto because the political parties only showcase one, they launch it, and after which they have only 11 copies for only 11 people. The rest of us, how do we get that? So for me, I think that it serves so many purposes.
Don't get it wrong. I am not talking about not serving a purpose. I'm saying that if I sit as a head of research or something of a political party, and we are talking about debate, I would do my audience segmentation. It's communication at the end of it all. And nobody goes into a communication wholesale.
No, of course.
In this country, that is why
that
is why Coca-Cola would translate its ads into local languages.
But nobody disputes.
That is why,
because
you need to reach the right publics.
No, of course.
The way you reach them.
Don't worry, we have time.
The way you reach them is different. The approaches will be different.
No,
you expand these points.
Let's quickly pick this video. So, the public relations director of the NCCE, Madame Joyce Afutu, spoke to us about why the NCCE will hold the debates. The IAA as well suggests that the NCCE doesn't have the mandate to run the debates because it is a state agency and cannot be credible.
We engage them with what they need to do and even their availability and all that. And we go with them the way we deal with them over the years, because we recognize that they are all stakeholders, so we are going to deal with them fairly. And at the end of the day, we believe that all that we'll do will come out and everybody will accept that, yes, fairly we have executed our mandate and things will go well.
Are you bothered that some independent organizations feel that by doing such an exercise, you are competing with them in a field that they are known to be the superiors?
There's nothing like a competition. Civic education is very broad and it is also a collective responsibility. And you realize that in democracy, there's even also the need for a vibrant civil society. So there are various groups who also undertake civic education, and we are all there, we work with them and all that. So I don't think people will think we are mimicking the activity of an organization. Civic education is broad, and NCC alone doesn't take. We have other institutions that are also engaged in civic education, but we hope that with all our collective efforts, we will work to ensure that we create civic-minded Ghanaians.
So one can say that you do not think that you are in competition with anybody as far as this dialogue is concerned?
No, we are not competing at all. We are just executing our mandate. This is an election year. NCCE, what we want to say is that we are emphasizing tolerance as a key word. We should tolerate divergent views, and we should make sure that we all act peacefully, because that is one of the ways that we can maintain the peace that we are enjoying as a nation. NCCU, we have always organized our activities without taking instructions from other people. We know the commission is an independent commission, and we organize our activities over the years. We don't take instruction from any institutions. So we will organize our activities the way we do it. As for the dialogue, you see, we started some years back, about 2 years ago, where we engage and bring experts and they explain other issues which we organize. So the dialogue will come up. We will organize it as it should be, and we are hoping that the media and all stakeholders will assist the NCC in that direction.
So that was Madam Joyce Afutu, PR, NCCE, on the NCCE's position to hold the presidential and parliamentary debate. I'll be coming to pick your thoughts on this, but let me quickly introduce our third guest. So we've been joined now by Honorable Moses Enim, who is MP for Chobu. Honorable, thanks for joining us.
Thank you too.
You're late. Yes.
Caught up in traffic.
That's no excuse.
We have heavy traffic from Pokwase coming towards Accra.
Okay. I'm just saying that indeed you probably should have set off early. Yes.
Sorry, I'm late.
But it's okay. So let's pick your thoughts on what we just heard from the PRO NCCE. If you listened in, she's saying that they are in no competition with anybody on that because it is their constitutional mandate to educate the masses.
Yes, thank you very much. The NCCE's mandate is civic and to ensure that the public knows their right and also understand what we are all supposed to contribute for Mother Ghana. And I expect them to perform and perform over the years, not an election year alone. I always believe in enforcement and reinforcement, because if you start very early, you'll be able to educate more. But if you wait till election year and you think within the election year you work on it, that wouldn't be, because it's a hot year anyway. Maybe people may not even listen at all because it's a hot year. So if you start very early and you are giving them enough resources to educate, that is it. And as she said, they are not competing with anybody. They also, as a duty bound, to work and make sure that the public becomes educated. In fact, an informed society is better off. A knowledgeable society is far better off. Even if you have a large knowledgeable society, and as we say, there's not even an employment to do it commensurate with it. But when the people are knowledgeable, it enhances development. It brings understanding. Their rights, they can demand their rights. It brings challenges to leadership to make sure that they will perform, because they know that they can't take anybody for granted. You can't go anywhere and be speaking anyhow and think that you can just roll people in and take them for granted. Because the people are knowledgeable and they know their rights and they know the questions to ask you and be able to tell you that what you are telling us is not within your remit, as per the constitution, as per regulation or law, or the responsibility assigned to you. So you can't just go somewhere and then be just saying anything at all. So it's crucial, and it's a crucial institution. The framers of our constitution did create that institution to do that civic education for the public. So I think that if they want to organize anything like that, yes, as long as it falls within their responsibility provided in the constitution, fair deal.
But you think that they should have done that earlier?
They should have started earlier, yes. You see,
less than 6 months to elections, you think it won't make any impact? But the IEA has just announced the presidential debate as well.
I'm not talking just about maybe a debate, or it's not an event. Indeed. You see, we know the level of our education in this country, and such a Herculean task cannot be achieved, or the objective cannot be achieved within just a year. So I am expecting that over the years, NCC was created by this constitution in 1992. Over the years, the education might have been going on, but we should be doing it. We should intensify it.
Should be all
around. We shouldn't just look at, yes, we just don't look at election year and we think that
you are doing something.
Yes.
I get where you're coming from, and we will get your responses pretty soon, your fellow guests on the show. But let's just find out what people are saying. And the numbers are on the screen, how to get through to us. They are all on your screen. So this is from Don Flex Kanishi. Says, let's not kid ourselves. If Ghanaians are discerning, we know what is going on. I believe the debate this year will improve and will demand and challenge our presidential candidates to give us step-by-step solutions to our many problems in this country. That's Don Flex from Kanishi. And this is from Kobe in Mataheko. How much time should the IEA give all political parties ahead of the debates? Again, is the IEA the only one with the mandate to organize such a program such as this? And then another comment here. The IEA has come under intense fire from some major political parties ahead of the November elections for what they describe as disrespectful and unfair arrangements adopted for this year's presidential debates. There's a lot more coming in, but my question is the IEA sounding arrogant? And insinuating that the NCE really is not endowed enough to hold a presidential debate. Are the IAA the only people who can hold presidential debates?
Well, Kafi, if I can take that. First of all, I don't think that the IAA is mandated to actually organize debates. I mean, it's a civic society institution, but it has a track record. It began the whole process of presidential debate, and I think that we shouldn't take that from them. We must encourage initiatives. We must encourage institutions to actually show, that they have the capacity to contribute towards the democratic process of this country. So for me, yes, sounding that to the NCCE, I think is inappropriate, because you couldn't actually determine that they are actually capable or not capable until we as people know that they are capable of doing it. So I think that it's a little bit mischief, from them. But I don't think that we have to take it from IEA, the contribution that they've made to this process. Now, we can debate whether they are credible, i.e. because some people have actually questioned their neutrality, questioned the transparency. Now, I have an issue with the transparency. I think that they must be transparent in terms of letting us know the rules of the game. And again, in terms of the process itself, Honorable actually hinted at that. There's no follow-up. It looks like just I ask you a question, you say it, and that's it. Elsewhere, you have a proper someone kind of interrogating whatever you say and then making sure that we get the nitty-gritty of it. Of course, we can talk about the time allowed, but it doesn't stop us from being very, very good at asking the tough questions.
Maybe that's why they wanted a two-man affair. They wanted to be the two major parties together, so you have more time.
No, but that is incorrect, because for me, all right, if I have to go back onto that particular one, the fairness is that if you do two separate, as if one world apartheid, somebody used apartheid, one world belongs to the two parties, the other will belong to other parties. The other parties may not be forced, or the people will not actually watch the other parties, because they barely can attract audience, all right? So fairness is that do a toss, and then let us group the team into two. So, or you can group the team into the NDC in one group, MPP in another group, because clearly they attract the people to watch, because people want to see what GhOne has, people want to see what Nanado has. Now, it will be fantastic for you to have two. If you think that they're too large to have it in one set, group them and let these, so-called the trump cards be in these two groups. Fantastic. But if you do one for Nanado and President Mahama, and then you do one for the other, I tell you, the traction will not be there. So I think that's not smart thing to do. And I like the NCA's position saying that we're going to have a dialogue. It's different from a debate, and it sort of adds, or it makes it like it's inclusive of the voters, the candidates, and elsewhere, and everybody else in terms of the stakeholders. So they've differentiated themselves from the IEA to say ours is presidential dialogue. It could be just semantic, but the point is, it makes it much more different. I particularly have an issue with leadership, though, because you always want to show leading, But if you let somebody come and announce and later you announce, it's as if you actually kind of, afterthoughts or following somebody. And that's why the question about competing comes in. They are not competing at all. But I think that the next time they have to take a clue. They must announce their initiatives well ahead, of events, so that they don't seem like they're lagging and they're just, lacking ideas.
Indeed, and over the years, the NCCE has been very well noted for parliamentary debates. And, well, the IEA, when they started in 2000, definitely were freshers, didn't know anything about it. But presidential at that level definitely is different from parliamentary. Yes. And I just want to ask this straightforward question. Do you think that the NCCE can nail it at the presidential level? Let me come to you, Honorable George.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I think that if they are asking for a presidential dialogue, it's all it needs is methodology and form. Once they get the form right, they get the methodology right, and you get the appropriate person to do the questioning. There are people with skills that you can pick from the system. So I don't think that is too big a deal to organize a debate. I can organize a debate single-handedly, given the opportunity. I'm sure Doc can do. I'm sure we all given Kafi and you together in a month should be able to put that
debate together.
And let me make the point clearly. And I mean, it's the strongest point I want to make this morning. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody in this country has the sole mandate of organizing presidential debates. Anybody can organize a presidential debate. It is incumbent on the people who the candidates to want to appear. In actual fact, the NCCA can decide to do a dialogue, and the presidential candidate of all the parties will say, "Look, we won't come." The IEA can say, "We won't come." They can't do in layman's language. They can't do FOCO. They can't do FOCO.
You know, so, when you do it, definitely you know what's
so really, all this noise about this person has no capacity, I have to do it, is neither here nor there. Yeah. The reality on the ground is that they should do things that are attractive enough, platforms that are attractive enough to attract all the parties to want to, hook up on. And for me, that's the most important. And Kafi, I challenge you guys in the media, challenge everybody, find ways of getting these candidates to come and tell us what they have. I mean, it shouldn't be limited to IEA, it shouldn't be limited to NCCA.
Well, we've been doing our GH debates every Wednesday.
Yes,
who knows? We will just escalate.
Yeah, so you may do a mega debate and get them. I mean,
definitely.
Let's all expand the debate. Let's go to the nook and cranny of this country, and let's get everybody to understand. I have said that this election must be about issues.
And not personalities,
yes,
really.
Issues that go to the core of our development.
Let me throw this one in. Are we just being copycats? Okay, so the Americans do debates. Let us do some. Are we? Are we just copying?
Kafi, you see, it is about.
Yes or no?
It is
are we copying? Are we copying?
No, but it is all about the principles of democracy and the tenet of democracy. The pluralism that we all want to, and the democracy that we want to. It's about George talking and coming up with your viewpoint, okay? Either in hard copy, or you meet and you talk about it. There's nowhere that democracy thrives without these ingredients. And it is not a matter of copying. In any case, we are not here to reinvent the wheel, are we? So whatever holds democracy and the principles of democracy is what we must espouse. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we want people to put up judgment based on informed basis. And for that matter, for Ghana to thrive, we want to get it right. And people must know what people stand for. Elsewhere, you can't move up the political ladder without people looking at your position that you took, the debate that you had in Congress or elsewhere, and the position that you took on matters. Either to hear anybody can be saying anything at all. In fact, if we are guided by that principle, people will not sit here and be talking about personality and be insulting people and all that. When people really are conscious of their political ladder moving up and knowing very well that they can be judged by what they say today and the position they take. And then for that matter, this is very important. And my position on this matter, like the honorable member and my colleague said, everybody who thinks he's credible must be able to organize a debate. And it's like a product that you are marketing. If the product has no market base, nobody will patronize the product.
Yes, you talk about credibility here.
The product has no market base. Nobody will patronize it.
The question whether we are copying another is actually grounded in the literature. Swanson and Mancini actually looked at that and said, is it Americanization, globalization, or is modernization theories, And by that, it means America actually took the lead. And there is argument that elsewhere, America has also copied. I mean, the oldest democracy, which is India, didn't have, presidential debate. Now they're doing it. America started it. So we can look at it from diverse ways. I think, like Honorable said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, you've got to actually move on.
And I was talking about
Government Assurances Committee. It was copied from India. Okay, the other jurisdictions that don't have the Government Assurances Committee that are also coming in we met, the committee met the Ivorian parliament, and they came, and they have to listen to the committee and see how best they can also inculcate it. So the democracy, we are evolving, moving on, and we need to be doing other things that are right, and also do things. Definitely, you need to tailor it to your local perspective anyway, but we cannot continue to be reinventing that way.
Indeed, Honorable Iniman, I want to pick it from your credibility points there. And for me, I'm curious. In our parts of the world, is it a mere situation of credibility issues, or it's just that our politicians do not have anything concrete to say to the people whose mandates they seek? Because then in 2000, we saw former President Rawlings, being on the sidelines. He didn't take part in the debate. It happened again. No, it was Mills, rather. And then in 2004, former President Kufuor as well didn't take part in the debate. Is it a mere situation of credibility issues?
I suspect that, sorry, Honorable was
you see, I raised the credibility issue pertaining to the organizers. That anybody who thinks that he's positioning himself so well credibly and he want to organize debate, why not?
Okay.
GH1, you position yourself, you think you have audience, people will listen, people will watch. Why not? But what he is saying, as the honorable member said, that it also comes back to the political party to sit down. In any case, you can't take them away. They are major stakeholders.
And they have to agree to be there.
They have to agree to be there in the first place. You get it? And that is why I was trying to relate it to the product as well. You see? Yeah. So it is about the, but by and large, we wish that as we grow, this debate, presidential or parliamentary, as to whether to attend or not, should it be the issue? Yeah, should it be an issue?
I think let me just make a quick one. Earlier on, I wanted to say the biggest democracy, not the oldest. Although this is America, so yeah.
Biggest is India.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you see whether there's a credibility issue, of course, because systems, the process hadn't been transparent enough, so there's a credibility issue there. But there is also the issue of disrespect. Now, if you look at the trends, in 2000, NDC was in government then, before the elections, all right? They decided not to go because they didn't want to subject themselves to a private institution. 2004, President Kufuor was in government. And 2016, NDC is in government. If we look at the trends, whenever the party is in government, they don't see themselves, how do they subject themselves to a private institution, which they also don't see as credible? You understand? So that is the point. Now, two, if IEA is able to solve the credibility issue, which I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but they can, because people have alleged a lot of things, and therefore the perception is entrenching every day.
Indeed.
Now, they've got to actually solve that.
The credibility gap.
Exactly. And then we've got to actually let the politicians know that it doesn't mean that if it's a private institution, it doesn't mean that you have to disrespect them, because of course, they're contributing one way or the other to the democratic process. We're all helping. Okay. So we've got to actually solve this issue.
We're going to go for the world in 60 seconds, and I'll come back to you. And I'll ask a credibility question and then post some responses I've been getting to the question. I asked the question, if it were up to you, who would organize this presidential debate and who would participate? Very interesting responses, and I'll put them to you. This is GH Today on GH1 TV with the really queenly Beswa Kafui. And we have our guest here for Hard Talk. Well, it's 60 seconds right now.
Preliminary data shows Germany more than doubled its economic growth rate in the first quarter of 2016 as higher state and household spending, as well as rising investment on construction and capital goods offset a drag from foreign trade. Asian shares fell after a rocky performance on Wall Street, while the yen hovered near 2-week lows as traders wagered the Bank of Japan will add to its massive stimulus before too long. Mexico says it was not satisfied with the Egyptian government's response to an aerial bombing in Egypt last year in which 8 Mexican tourists were killed. Police and hospital sources say 3 gunmen opened fire overnight on a cafe in northern Iraq where young men had gathered at the start of the weekend holiday, killing at least 12 and wounding 25.
I wish you were here to find out what goes on when we are not here. But hey, this is GH Today on GH1 TV. Our guest, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Trobu, Moses Enim, Dr. Kobi Mensah. He's a political strategist and a lecturer at the University of Ghana, and the Honorable Member of Parliament for North Dai. I visited his town last time. Really clean, beautiful place, George Low. And the topic we're asking you to exercise your mind around is the whole issue of presidential debates. Who organizes? Who participates? And I threw the question out yesterday on Facebook and on Instagram. Interesting responses. So I asked, if you could have the power to choose, who would you want to organize these debates and who would you love to participate? Now, Frankie Carl Wilson Gisam says, Tier 1 participants, Joe Mahama, Nanado, Bakwesi, and Green Street. Tier 2 participants, Ayariga, Konedu, and the rest. Organizers, IEA with support from Imani. Would this fly?
This is a big fly. You know, I think that people are entitled to their pairings and their choices. Something, if you ask me genuinely, as I sit here today.
Would this fly?
No. If you ask me genuinely, as I sit here today, I think the people or the group that would really stand the test of organizing a debate that everybody will want to participate has not arrived yet. We must look for them.
Hey, the beautiful ones are not yet born.
Yes. Because you see...
The ugly ones refuse to die, right?
You see, yeah. Like my brother, Honorable Enim said, there should be you see, the debate is such a big, important issue that there should be maybe a year or 2 years of planning.
Is it too big for IEA?
It's not about being big, but really, even when we are not in a debate, IEA is being pointed at for all manner of things by political
Does the
parties.
NDC trust IEA?
I don't think NDC trusts IEA. You can do a content analysis of newspaper reports and how they've related with the IEA. They are not comfortable. We as a party are not happy with the way they've done things in the past.
Why don't you trust the IEA?
When issues come up,
like what?
They take, issues on economy, issues on many other things. I have had the opportunity to, talk to the IEA, some of the leaders of the IEA over things that I am most unhappy about. I've told them that, they used to invite me, and even as of now, they always virtually invite me. I'll stop attending programs in IEA because I don't believe that in organizing those programs, there is fairness, there is transparency, there is equity. Because you do not organize a program and look at only one side of a debate.
But the last time, who organized the debate?
It was IEA.
Did the NDC attend?
The NDC attended.
What informed your decision then?
You see, Kafui, we need a whole day to do that.
Honorable, what informed the decision then?
Because we were giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
We were giving them the benefit of the doubt.
You still are not satisfied.
The fallout of the IEA.
What was the fallout?
Tells us that today, some of the things happening confirmed our suspicion then.
What exactly what happened?
Oh, that's why I'm saying that. We need a full day.
No.
Listen, we were alleging that questions were leaked to other political parties.
Like a poll?
Yes, we were alleging at the time, yes.
Oh, wow. So
how does Wyatt call it?
Foreknowledge. so what?
People had foreknowledge.
Nana had foreknowledge?
That is what we believe.
Okay.
Even the manner some people put the questions and the manner they reacted. And today, some of those same people are contesting as MPP parliament.
I know you are referring to Kojo Ponkroma.
Yes,
here.
We raised that issue even before he took that. He went into politics. We had accused him of bias, and it turns out that he goes to stand up. So we don't trust the system.
Listen,
and I'm saying that you see.
Let me tell you. Yes. I said yesterday, the NCC said that it was still mobilizing funds to put this whole dialogue together. Listen, but we know that the IEA has funds. Are we likely to see the IEA, for instance, partnering the NCCE, in terms of funding it to get this whole thing to happen?
It is up to the two groups to do whatever they want to do. Nobody needs to direct them as to what they
want to do. If
the IEA and NCCE decides to team up and form,
you'd be happy.
Even then, I'm sure that there will be issues. Because I know that once the NCCE argument started or came out, the NPP were not happy. They see them as a state institution, therefore they will
And
support.
the IEA even had some comments about
Yeah.
that.
So really, you see where I'm playing to.
But before you even go,
Yeah,
because you made some points about Kojo
and their affiliations.
Yes.
But the NDC also, the IEA debate produced a Minister of Education for the NDC.
Well, that is another matter.
Our current Minister of Education.
Yes, you are right.
Are you not happy with
No,
that?
you are right.
And then it came out of that.
Right.
That is how we saw her talk about for the very first time on the national platform.
Of course.
Asking questions.
Of course.
For me, that was my first time actually
Yes.
seeing her.
I have known her as a vice chancellor of
Yes.
the University of Cape Coast, right? What went into her choice, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, and I can't tell you. The president makes his choices.
Okay.
And I remember at the last UCC conference, he says he was happy that the school had produced for him a minister, and that he had to plead with her to join his government. For whatever reason went into it, I cannot tell.
I'm sure the president was impressed with
possibly
his.
But
I mean,
she-
her
that-
handling
but
at the IEA
But you
debate.
should know that she came with impeccable credentials.
that
First
we're
female
aware.
vice chancellor and things like that. So a lot might have gone into choosing who our minister for education will be. But you see, my point is, that's what I'm saying. That my point is, you see, we should have a situation where possibly representative, like we do in an arbitration, because in arbitration you choose somebody to represent you, choose somebody to represent you, and then we all craft the rules of engagement. That way you are sure. You see, that way you are sure.
It sounds like we are working on some boundary dispute. I mean, it's
Yeah, I'm
just a
saying
debate.
that
Come on, Mr. Lowe.
you see, everybody must walk out of that engagement feeling that I've been given fairness, I've been treated fairly.
It's crucial.
It's crucial.
We'll come to you shortly.
It's crucial. So we must have a platform where we trust.
I remember
all
in the UK, for example, the
yeah.
recent debate. I mean, the format had gone back and forth between the parties. Conservatives had their issues. Later, it was ironed out. Some people thought that Nigel Farage shouldn't be included because of their typical right-wing positions. But in the end, they got some accommodation and they agreed to do it. So I think that's why I have a problem with the transparency bit. If they can actually be transparent, and then of course the questions must be thrown out. And for me, I loved the journalist, some selected journalists, to do the questions. So you have the person who's moderating, but then journalists sitting down there could have the questions thrown at the contestant and say, okay, this question is from my viewers. They want me to ask A question, B question. All right, then we know the credibility. Now, if you have to craft questions somewhere and then we don't even have a third party who is a custodian of the questions, yeah, because there's a big deal. We have to have a third party who is a custodian of the questions, who can be trusted that it's not going to leak.
We just suspect one another.
You see, Kafi, yes. I am a bit surprised about the comment that
the questions were leaked.
Yeah. Okay. So
let him
drop.
Let him.
I want you to start on a good note.
No. You have your chance.
Can I finish?
George,
No. You see, so don't mention it. Look here. Don't even put it here. But when you are a lawyer, you know if you are asked right now, street proof, you can't.
But why?
Suspicion is suspicion.
You see, you cannot be put to street proof in suspicion.
Kafi, let's face it. So does it mean that President John Mahama was at class in that debate because questions were leaked? Look, even we've seen people where questions have been leaked to stay right on their ties to go and look and write. Okay, so I don't think that is the issue. I think
throwing the thing out.
No.
I had said that it is part of our suspicion.
My brother, you had your chance. I was quiet. I could have interjected, but I was quiet. Look here. Is it part of democracy? Does it make democracy good? Is it what we want? Let's make sure that we do the right thing and let the debate flow. Look, the most challenged thing is that the one in government think that the rest are opposition.
Which is a fact.
And that is the cardinal reason why whilst in government, they don't want to show up.
Oh, but President Mahama,
yes, you listen.
He challenged, and today's dispatch said,
yes.
This is way back.
See,
he did that.
Tuesday edition, 15th March 2016, fireworks as Mahama dares Akufo-Addo to a debate. So I don't think Mr. Mahama is running away from any debate. And let's put that clear.
I'm saying that this is one that people think that once we are in government and whoever is in government, I aspire for the democracy that must grow. Because we all know, when you read the directive principle of state policy, you read 36E, say the most secure democracy is the one that assures the basic necessity of life for its people as a fundamental duty. This democracy must be sustained, and sustaining the democracy for me is key. It's very key and fundamental that we don't have to joke with it. And anything that will promote it and maintain it is what we should. Whether in government or not, NPP checking out, NDC checking out at that material moment, for me, it's not the best for democracy. And what democracy needs today is for all of us to espouse for and stand in for what will promote the democracy and let it grow. So if we are to go for a debate, whether in government or not, the questions have been leaked to somebody. You know what you've done. People from SHS, from WASI, who did not see the leaked paper, still wrote what they know. So what you have done, go in there and present your issue. But like we are saying, the institutions must also be very credible. That is a fact, and that is principle for the institution to be credible. Leakages of questions to people should not be countenanced at all. And like we said, when my brother called upon Nkrumah, you see, you also referred him to the Minister of Education. And for me, that situation was not good enough. Doesn't mean that the IEA did not do due diligence enough to know, yes, we all vote anyway. You may not know the future decision of somebody. It makes it very difficult anyway. But by and large, since IEA started this debate, at least let's also commend them to have chalked some successes and to have improved the democratic principle. To run them down and discredit them entirely is my worry.
Yeah, what we should remember is that the politicians are not the only stakeholders.
Yes,
in this process,
we are not.
And even as of now, because of the way we are now, even majority of those stakeholders outside, i.e. the developing partners, take keen interest in this particular process. So we shouldn't think that the only stakeholders here are the politicians. We have the voters, we have the development partners, we have everybody else. And
the people. And for me, that was the question I was actually coming to put out. Do you think that as a people we have probed well enough, for the people who wish to govern us, to ensure that they really understand the issues that bother us, and indeed if they have that capacity to tackle it? Have we done well enough in that sense?
The issue is accessibility, to show that we are concerned, all right? If you go to individual corners, bars, a lot of people are probing the issues. But we don't have access because obviously institutions are bigger than us, And if you look at those people who oppose institutionalization and things, that's their challenge. The frustration that the institutions actually present in our way. But individually and as a country, as people, in the cars, people are complaining. In bars, people are complaining. At restaurants, people are complaining. But because as individuals, you don't have the capacity to challenge the institutions, you become, you have no access.
Yeah.
Right? So the institutions must actually listen to the frustrations of the people and present that face. Now, I think that if you want to see politics in whatever somebody does, you would. Because whatever I say, I may belong to the left or right. So I keep telling people, listen, don't say that I belong to NDC or MPP, because definitely, if you ask me what I believe in corporal punishment, and I say yes, I may belong to the right. If you ask me and I say no, I may be a liberal, all right? And then you go, oh, so you're NDC. I'm not an NDC.
No.
My views are to the left. All my views are to the right. So if you want to see partisan, identification, you will definitely see it. So we must not try to make everything partisanship, but understand people from where they're coming from, the context, and understand them, their frustrations and things. I think we must commend institutions when they do something good, but we must also recommend that let them do it properly, i.e. be transparent,
do
be
it well.
credible. Exactly.
I think that we are all trying to make the same point, to the extent that, look, we need a credible, transparent institution that gives everybody hope that gives everybody a feeling of walking out of the debate, knowing that I was given the best of platform and I was treated fairly, and I didn't have to look behind my shoulder and ask myself, did anything go wrong with this process? That is what we should all aspire to. So for me, that is key. Then secondly, we must, and I agree that we must ensure that the debate is ongoing. You see, one of the problems I have with our kind of debate is that, look, how do you say 1 hour, 2 hours? So NCC is having a dialogue or whatever I want to call it. And then we are talking about energy, transport, key facets of our economy. So I don't believe that we cannot deal with that in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I believe that possibly we could even have media houses who say that today it is our energy.
Energy today.
Energy today.
Like we do here.
Like we do every
fix a
Wednesday.
topic,
debate,
deal with it.
energy.
Yeah.
Another one is debating economy.
Yeah,
Another one is
agriculture,
debating
health.
agriculture.
Yeah.
Another
So
health.
it's a series.
It's a series. So people are able to pick and choose where their interest is. Doc, when it possibly comes to business and business environment and economy, when he sits down, he's able to tell you why he thinks candidate A is better off than candidate B. Somebody who is an energy expert will now listen and say, somebody who is in the health sector will now listen. And then through their analysis, as part of that whole process, we are able to get to the people and explain issues further down the line. That for me is the way to go.
All right. And I think if we do organize that debate, you'll be a consultant.
Why
You're
not?
giving us
I'll be
great
so happy.
ideas.
Can I have 10%?
Great ideas from all of you. Honorable Member of Parliament for North Dai, George Lowe, thank you very much. Honorable Member of Parliament for Trobu, Mr. Moses Anim, thank you. And Dr. Kobe Mensah is a political strategist and a lecturer at the University of Ghana. What's happening for the weekend?
University of Ghana
Business School, definitely so. What's your weekend? What do you do? What does a strategist do on the weekend? Do you strategize?
Weekend, I do my research, because without that, you're not a lecturer.
He doesn't sleep.
And you?
Well,
What are you doing this weekend?
A bit of reading, but I'm hitting the
Not
base.
dying.
You're going to
Not
not die
dying.
one time.
Yeah.
Safe journey.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. And
Are you in trouble
Well,
this weekend?
yeah, I stay in the constituency.
okay.
I live in the constituency.
All right, so you're having a day
homegrown.
I'm always there.
So what are you doing?
I'm
Keep
always-
fit tomorrow? What?
Tomorrow, some residents association, and then going around to visit, and then the flooding. I was able to do some dredging and the setting out of my little common fund, so it has reduced. It has reduced.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it has reduced some of the pressure. But I need to go back to other areas that we couldn't do.
It's not
to
an
see
event, it's a
how-
process, as you said earlier.
The city authorities should be
but
talking
But
to
he should stay home and rest. He should stay home and rest.
No.
Stay home.
Life
and rest.
doesn't end.
Some of your comments, and from Mataheko Ebo says that presidential debate is essentially significant to the democratic dispensation of our country and Africa as a whole. Is an indication of how matured we are democratically as a country, and it turns to attract more investors and sell our country to the rest of the world. And Don Flex from Kaneshi says that let us not kid ourselves. If Ghanaians are discerning, we know what is going on. I believe the debates this year will improve and will demand and challenge our presidential candidates to give us step-by-step solutions to our many problems in this country. Loads of your messages coming through to our social media platforms. We're going to be reading them as we go along. But very interesting conversations happening ahead, so don't go away.
I think their main priority is to protect the citizens of every, let's say, common things they have to be secured of.
They are to protect the citizens generally of the country from criminal activities, to curb criminals from harming the citizens of the country.
Generally, they are to maintain peace and order and to implement what is being proposed in Parliament by the judicial councils in order to reduce crime and peace, stabilize the peace in the various countries and other stuff.
They protect us, and then sometimes when we have issues in our personal lives, they help us deal with it.
Their main role is to secure safety and security for the citizens of Ghana.
The core functions of the police service is to provide peace in the community. They have to make sure that there's everywhere around the surrounding is peaceful, there's no conflict, and they try to settle disputes between people who are having maybe some arguments and all that. So The core function is just to provide peace to the community. That's the core function of the police.
Core function of the Ghana Police Service is to maintain peace and order and also to protect the citizens of this nation.